Hello. Today we are going to be talking about rebranding yourself and your business. And so there were a few things that came through my mind about why I really wanted to focus in on rebranding yourself. And I think it's truly because I have been seeing so much in the online space around people almost feeling like shameful or nervous about the fact that they're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to be a mindset coach. And now I'm like going more into fitness. Or, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to make fancy pancakes for the rest of my life. And now I feel like I'm truly being called into helping people around mindset or like whatever it is. There is no shame in the game of rebranding yourself. And the gene keys are the perfect way whenever you're feeling like you're on that precipice of change, whenever like maybe you have a career that should have been the quote unquote dream career that you're like, oh my God, I should be thanking my lucky stars for this. But like something inside of me is telling me I'm not living up to my fullest potential. That is okay, because there are going to be times in your life where you get the exact thing that you want and you realize there is more space for you to grow. There is more for you to learn. So feel free to ask any questions about your gene keys or human design as I talk about all these different things. But really, I want to share some background around rebranding myself, how I've shown up in my business differently, how the gene keys have helped me, and really even what like sparked this in my brain this morning as I was sitting around. I've had this topic on my mind for a few days and did a post about it the other day, but I just want more people to understand how normal it is once you get into your online business and once you start showing up for you to kind of change your mind about maybe who your ideal client is, for you to change your mind about like what kind of content you want to post, and that it's totally normal and totally safe to shift yourself more and more as you grow. So for me, my background is being a lavender farmer. I moved across the country. I had done all these different things. I wanted to work with elephants, and then I thought I was going to nursing school, and then I was selling BMWs. So I am a person with a lot of different eclectic knowledge from different phases in my life. But I ended up moving across the country to become a lavender farmer, knowing nothing about lavender and barely even understanding like what it smelled like. Like I had to go out and purchase essential oil so that I could start coming up with ideas of like what I wanted to do once I moved out here. And so I thought that for the rest of my life, I was going to be that farmer. I thought that for the rest of my life, I was going to be making these all natural products from scratch. I had like gotten recently sober and I was like, I decided to be a vegan. I was very into the all natural world. Like, and I thought that that was really the gateway to spirituality was like all of this natural stuff. Right. And for a time, that was my dream job. For a time, that was something that I absolutely loved. And I felt in every single cell in my body, I was like, I'm going to do this forever. This is just going to be who I am. I'm the girl that makes these products, that works at the farmer's market, that does this farming and just like keeps growing that. But there came a time that I started uncovering some of my psychic gifts. And I recognized I was not going to be satisfied just living the life of the lavender farmer. I had to get really real with myself and realize like I had more gifts that had been hiding under the surface that wanted to come out and wanted to play. And of course, being a farmer, being a lavender farmer was super cool. It was really groovy. And it was something that, maybe not a lavender farmer particularly, but being a farmer was on my bucket list. Like I know that I would have needed to do it before I went to the grave, right? But something happened. And the fact that like once I uncovered these other gifts inside of me, these psychic gifts where I was like pointing people in the right direction and doing all these energy updates, things like that, I realized like, hey, Stephanie, there's a whole heap of potential that you're sitting on that like, yes, it scares you. And yes, it makes you uncomfortable. But on the other side of this, you're a changed person and you can't go back to just being that lavender farmer. Like once you do this, and let me know if like this is you, like drop an emoji below if you've ever been there where you like thought that you had everything it was that you wanted. And then you realized that you were just scratching the surface, that thing that you thought was everything was just another stepping stone on your way to the next level of success. Because I feel like so many people shame themselves around this. Maybe they like left their, like you've left your normal 9 to 5 job and you like went out and you started your business. You started like maybe teaching mindset or doing, I just thought I had to pick one. Yeah. And it's one of those things, especially if you're a little manifesting generator, but it's one of those things that, you know, it's going to keep unfolding. Your talents, your gifts are going to keep unfolding. But what I found, like the juiciest part of these gene keys, was showing me like what I was really good at so that I didn't have to hem haw around for a really long time trying to figure it out. It was just like, hey, Stephanie, right here. This is a map of all of the things that you just were naturally born with. That, like, yeah, some of these things have been a thorn in your side to learn. Some of these other things have been something that comes sort of natural to you. But whenever you lean into these things, you will be successful. And so I started playing with these gene keys. Like I had never seen anybody use them for business. There was like no content on the internet around these gene keys other than like just from the source of the gene key information. And I was like, this just like, I'm more of like a rainbow bright type of personality. Like I like cartoons. I like sparkly things. I like fun. Like a living Sour Patch Kid. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, learning the gene keys in the traditional sense, even though it was like invigorating and fun, it still felt like I was like, okay, there's got to be a different way to teach this so that people can understand this in a way that feels exciting and in a way that it hasn't been said before. And so whenever we start teaching from our own point of view, just so you know, if you've ever felt bashful about like teaching and showing up and like being this person that sees yourself as an expert, I want you to know that like nobody's coming to tap you on the shoulder and tell you that you're ready. I was like waiting around, like twiddling my thumbs on my couch, like waiting for the universe to be like, Stephanie, we know that you've been studying all this stuff and we know that you're this person that knows so much and can help so many people. No, like I realized that day wasn't coming and I had to get up and put myself out there. And I don't care if you're a projector. I don't care if you're a manifestor. I don't care if you're a generator, like whoever you are, you have to come to the day where you step forward and you say, okay, I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to trust myself that I can teach from my own point of view and that it's going to be something that's really special for other people, that nobody else can do this thing the way that I do it, that nobody else can teach this thing the way that I teach it. And whenever you teach from your own point of view, I promise you, you are opening up the door for so many more people to understand something than if you were to hide your freaking light under a bushel and keep playing it small. Do you understand how powerful you are? Do you understand that like it doesn't matter if you thought that you were going to be in the fitness industry forever, just like I thought I was going to be a lavender farmer forever. And then I went through my phase where I thought I was going to be Teresa Caputo. I thought I was going to be a medium who talked to people that crossed over for the rest of my life. And everything changed whenever I learned these gene keys because I recognized there were so many other talents I was sleeping on. You have so many talents inside of you. And whenever you understand these gene keys and you start to play with them and experiment with them, everything changes in your life. So I love to use this example for the gene keys because I think that it can be easy to be like, oh, I'm really good at this thing. My gene key says I'm good. So I should just like naturally not be afraid of this thing, right? So my example of this is my gene keys very clearly say that I have a powerful voice, right? But this time last year, I was banana pants scared to get online and teach. Like to do this, especially I got two lives going right now. I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, and like to do this would have scared the living daylights out of me. I like literally recoiled in if I were ever to think about a YouTube live or a TikTok live. Like I had barely done some Facebook lives. Like I would do, and I would have my safety blanket back in the day, which you banana pants scared. I'm glad you like that. But I have my safety blanket back in the day whenever I used to teach tarot and do energy updates. I have my little cards and I'd just be like, this is your card. This is, and like I let my intuitive messages come through, but I would do it once in a blue moon. I would be so scared. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And like being really good at teaching something and explaining something, it's really just like you being repetitive with it. I used to hate being repetitive about things because I'm like, what if somebody like hears me say something twice? Like, okay, A, get over yourself. There's new people coming into your world every single day. And B, repetition is going to make you stronger as a teacher. And it's just going to make your branding stronger because it's just like who you are. It's what you're known for. So thank you. I appreciate that so much because it really, like this time last year, I can't even tell you how afraid I was to make content. Like if you go scroll down through all of my old TikTok videos, like I was teaching more about like mindset. I was honestly back in that day, like I was still learning the gene keys and I was still kind of scared to talk about them because I was like, are there rules? Like, am I supposed to follow like a certain guideline? Nobody out there is talking about this. So how am I supposed to talk about it? And it just every day was like showing up braver and speaking my own opinions about the gene keys and showing up even when I was like sweating my face off, even whenever I wanted to like tailspin into a different galaxy rather than get on a live and talk. I just did it again and again and again. And if you are somebody that you're like, you're like rebranding yourself in your business, or you're like really stepping into your business in a different way, it is like an ice sculpture. I want you to know this. Like, and if I could go back to myself a year ago and tell her this, I would be like, listen, like there's going to be the phase of throwing spaghetti against the wall until you know exactly what it is that you love talking about. Like, listen, it's okay to like make posts that maybe 2 months later you don't agree with wholeheartedly, like, because you've learned more and you've changed. Like, it's okay to put yourself out there in a different way than you ever have before. Because, like this ice sculpture, the more you do it, the more you just keep showing up and making content, the more you get on lives and you talk about the things that you love. Because, like I said, I started just talking about manifestation. And the more that you show up and do this, the more crystal clear your message becomes. We're now like, I've done hundreds of these gene key readings in this last year. And now I feel very confident to get online and to talk about them and to be very concise and clear about it. But before, I just needed to practice. I just needed to give myself that room to breathe and grow. And instead of thinking of my business as this hour to hour, week by week, month by month, like whatever goals you're trying to set, saying like, this is my life's work. And I'm refining my life's work every single day. And the fact that I'm going for it has like, and whenever you go for it, I'm telling you what, you are 98% above the rest of the population because most people aren't willing to go for something and then show up for it every day to refine their craft every day. But whenever you decide to do that, your life changes. Practicing being uncomfortable is so good for me, but so hard to make myself take action sometimes. Then I do the things. I always have a great time. Yes, at Lippyville, like I get this on a very deep level. At this time last year, I was navigating the waters of like where I had always learned in the spirituality realm about like feminine flow and leaning back and letting the universe drop things at my door. But I had this like hunger to start showing up. I just didn't know how. I just didn't know like what actions to take, like how often I could sell. I didn't know like how often I could post about my offers. Like I was truly treating my business like a side hoe whenever I needed to treat her like a golden girl. And so I fell in love with action this last year, and it has been the grooviest effing thing to understand strategy, because once you ingrain it, this strategy and this taking action into every single cell of your body, like you are forever changed. You are not the same person. And then you have more leeway for play in your business. Hello, Allie. I just saw your video with Snoop. I want to thank me. Oh, I'm so glad you like that, Allie. Like I love that video because I had one of those realizations this week. I started like going back through my content that I had made this last year, that like sometimes I felt really uncomfortable making it, or sometimes I felt really scared about what people might say, or sometimes I felt like, what is it that I'm trying to like get across in this post? Like, what is it that I'm saying? And I realized this week, I was like, Stephanie, in this last year, you've made thousands of pieces of content that you can now start reusing or revamping or doing like whatever the heck you want with it. And it was all because I decided to do it scared. I decided to do it uncomfortable. I decided to do it uncertain at moments in time. Other times I was like up on cloud nine. I was like, I'm winning. This is so wonderful. And then other times I was like, Stephanie, what are we doing? Like, but it was just reuse, revamp, repost. Yes, Allie, I love that. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. I know that you inspired this, so repost. To be honest, every person I meet that does Gene Keys is so much fun. Oh, I love that. That makes me so happy. I've literally met two other now they're all human design readers that have stepped into the Gene Keys. And so it's funny, they all do it very, very differently. For me personally, I came across the Gene Keys first. Like I knew about human design, but I tried to learn it and it just did not click. And so I just kind of like let it go. And a couple months later is whenever I learned about the Gene Keys. I was sitting at a farmer's market selling my all natural products, sweating my face off. And I saw somebody post something on Facebook like, does anybody know a Gene Key reader? And I Googled it and I was sucked into it for the next 4 months. I did nothing but study that. I went into troll mode and I was like, oh my God, nobody out there is teaching this. Like I got to teach this. And so that's how I came across the Gene Key world. And then for some reason, once I learned the Gene Keys, human design made sense. I spent like 4 days studying human design straight. And I was like, okay, I get the pieces that I need to know about this. So you never know how you're going to learn things, how it's going to click in your brain, how it might be different than other people. But I'm very, very passionate about teaching the Gene Keys in a fun way. I'm very, very passionate about it being easy, about it being like quick to learn. And then you can go to even further depths with it. Yes, that totally makes sense. But yeah, so I really think about human design and Gene Keys being married in my heart of hearts, like because Richard Rudd, who channeled out the Gene Keys, he studied under Ra Uru, who did human design. If you think about it, like all of this is based off of like the Chinese I Ching, like this astrology, like all these things are just kind of playing off one another. And I see them all as married, right? I see them all as being married. Because if you were to look at your Gene Key chart, really what it is if you were to take like a little claw machine to go over your human design chart, and it goes down like it's going to get all the toys, but instead it pulls up some of these planetary placements from your human design chart and it plops it over into this chart with 11 different crazy pants circles. And you get to learn more about yourself from that information. And so I do not believe that the Gene Keys are done, by the way. And that's why I love using human design with Gene Keys, because there's still so much juice in your human design planetary placements on the sides that like I feel is a huge part of like what makes you you and how you show up in your business. So if you are an intuitive, if you are a business coach, whoever you are, like if you're drawn to this information, it's for a very particular reason. And understand that if you feel that it is time to really vamp up your brand or rebrand yourself, that it is okay. Who needed to hear that today? Like just drop an emoji. If you just needed to hear that it is okay to make changes in your business and to show up differently, just drop an emoji below, because I know what that feels like to be like, am I the only person in the history of eternity to ever change my mind 20,000 times? Because you're not. I promise you. As an intuitive, no matter what you do, even if you do fitness, even if you make fancy pancakes, like you're an intuitive. If you're here, you're clearly intuitive, but you're going to have different phases of your life and things that you want to teach. And all of it comes together. Not any single thing that you've learned thus far is wasted on your journey ahead. So just like I said, I wanted to work with elephants. I was doing like car sales. I wanted to be a nurse at one time. I was an x-ray clerk. All of these things that I have gathered, Nobody else has that blend of eclectic knowledge that I have moving forward and that I'm going to keep building upon. And you're the exact same way. And it doesn't matter if you've had the same job for 10 years, like the experiences that you've had, nobody else can duplicate that. And whenever you realize that, like, it is okay to change, it is okay to grow and to go in the direction that your soul is calling you in, you will never regret this, because it's just going to keep eating away at you until you just decide to say, okay, I'm not a mindset coach anymore. I teach business. Or like, okay, I don't make fancy pancakes anymore. I do fitness. Like, whatever it is for you, go with that flow. You will be shocked, because the people that are hungry to work with you need your exact recipe. They need what it is that you have. So be willing to do the things that make you uncomfortable. Like for me, I used to hide behind my writing. I would only post on like Instagram maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and it was sporadic and it was not planned. Like it was, and it's not that I even like plan it all the time now. You know what I mean? But I have like this undercurrent of a goal, if that makes sense. I'm like, okay, I'm selling this program right now. I'm going to focus a lot of my content around like how this can help people, how this has helped me, how this can change your life. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll sprinkle in like fun things about myself and like beliefs that I have, stuff like that. But before, I was just hiding behind my writing and really not like utilizing organizational skills at all in business. And so I thought that that made me in the feminine flow. I thought that just made me like very trusting of the universe. But actually, like the universe loves whenever you start to show up big. The universe loves having something to play with. The universe loves whenever you move your chess pieces along the way, because shit happens faster. I promise you, the more willing you are to do the things that scare you, to take the next steps, is the more that those other chess pieces are going to fall into place. You can quantum leap your life with movement. And the movement really starts with the mindset behind it. I was having this conversation with a client earlier about the idea that matter comes second. So matter, everything that we live in, this little desk, this little phone, that like all of that comes secondary to this idea, to this energy before it was created. So it's really about A, what you believe about yourself, and then B, how you move with this information. And that's why I love these gene keys, because I feel like they very much touch on both things. Like, especially coming from a girl where I used to only talk woo-woo and spirituality, I had to realize, like, okay, for example, my gene key said, Stephanie, you have a strong voice, but I was hiding behind my writing at that point. What I had to do was start to visualize myself and start to feel in myself like I was this person that could get on these lives, that could talk, that could make the videos, that could teach. So I started believing that about myself. But then very, very quickly, that catapulted into me taking action and making moves around using my voice. So even though I was sweating my face off, I wasn't perfect. I was scared to death to be teaching. I was like, who's going to listen to me? Blah, blah, blah. I decided to start showing up 3 times a week on Insight Timer and start teaching. And then I would show up on Instagram Lives every single day. I did it for 4 months straight, every single day. Talking to crickets sometimes, talking to people sometimes, but just like, I'm going to get better at this. And I know I'm good. I know I'm good with my voice, and I'm going to show up and make it better. That's how the gene keys can change your life, because it's not just about contemplation. It's not. The contemplation will only get you so far with gene keys, because what is it? You're going to learn all of these superpowers about yourself, and then you're going to go sit in a hammock for the rest of your life and think about it? No. You've got some really cool things that are stirring under the surface that want to be birthed through you, that want to move through you. And what these gene keys do is like, hey, McFly, wake up. This is what you're really good at. Now go start living this. And whenever you learn these different gene keys, it really is like this portal that you can continue to step through every single day. So for me, even though I was teaching these gene keys for a while and I was teaching them about business, they've gotten richer with time. You know what I mean? It's almost like marinating a steak. Like you could let the steak sit in the sauce for a half an hour, or you could really let it sit for like a day, and it totally changes the flavor. And so as I've played with these gene keys more, they've just gotten more full. They've gotten more full. So the contemplation happens with the action. The more that you take the action, the more ideas will come through you. So for me, whenever I first started showing up in my online business, I thought that I had to be like very neutral in colors to fit in with all the other business coaches. I thought that I needed to say certain things or speak a certain way because I saw other people that were successful that were doing it that way. And I was like, okay, Stephanie, like, let's just replicate that in your own way and you'll be successful. But I was feeling so not like me. And I realized in my gene keys, I have the 56 gene key, which is all about, it's called the comedian, the storyteller. And I was missing the fun, zany, weird parts of me, like the space bun wearing, rainbow glass wearing sides of me whenever I was wearing all black and I was just talking in my calm voice. I was just talking in my calm voice. Like, no, there is a zany side of me that I was not showing in my business, like a meme loving side of me that I wanted to make little stupid memes that were funny as heck to me and that made sense to my ideal clients. You know what I mean? I was missing that part. You can relate? Yeah. So, like, my big thing now is I'm like, I help people bring fun into their business. Like, you get to have fun while you make money. You get to have fun while you attract clients. And you can do that in a really disciplined way. You can do that in a very action oriented way, but also like in just the way that you hold yourself and just the way that you see yourself. So I do see these gene keys as a merriment, as a marrying of energetics and action and strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have one without the other. You can't just be a good vibe and just like show up and blow up the internet. No, like, if you really want to create something, you've got to put in the time. You've got to make the moves. You've got to see what you're capable of. Because, like, why not while we're here? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that feeling that you want to do something different in your business, why not while you're here? And this is a prime example of like things that I learned from before. As my time as the psychic medium and talking to people who had crossed over, I realized that life is like this. And like, hey, they're really good over there. So like, they don't really need any help. They're like, you guys here, you guys are the ones that like need a revamp. You guys are the ones that need help. But what I realized was our time here is like this. It's lickety split. It's so quick. So why not be your boldest, bravest self? Why not? Like, what do you have to lose, honestly? And so it really comes down to like, do you want to sit there and squash this part of you because you're like, oh, if I just stay the course with this one thing that I said that I was going to do 2 years ago, that I said that I was passionate about? No, no, no. What happens whenever you let yourself grow? What happens whenever you let yourself evolve? And then you tap into these gene keys to help steer you in the right direction of utilizing this energy, of showing up and selling, of attracting clients, of creating content. Everything shifts. Everything shifts. Is the life's work and the branding and the gene keys? Ooh, okay. Yeah, the life's work and branding are the exact same gene key, but the way that it's different is, so there's like three different spheres. There's three different spheres that are mixed in with other sequences, right? So the very first sequence is the activation or the genius sequence. So that is the all green, right? So the four on the outside that are all green. Then there's the Venus sequence that is all red. Then there's the prosperity sequence, which I really get into with people for their business, is the all blue up at the top, that square up top. And so your life's work is considered in that genius sequence, in that green. So like the energy of your career. But then where the branding comes in is whenever that top one is considered in your pearl sequence. So it's got like two different faces, but it's similar energy. I love to like fuse them together because they're not really a separate thing. It's just a way to go deeper with it. Oh, so that 50s. Ooh, what are you, a 5'1" or a 5'2"? and your human design profile. And it'll be in your gene key profile. By the way, if you've wondered how those things are married to each other, if you look at the 4 outside gene keys that you have, it will say like, so mine is a 5-2. Ooh, you're a 5-1. So mine is a 5-2. So my 4 outside gene keys will say 5, 5, like 0.5, 0.5, and then 0.2, 0.2. So if you already know your human design, that's where you'll find it in the gene keys. So yeah, you're a 5-1. I talk a lot to 5s because I've found that this is like one of my callings while I'm here, at least right now in this phase of life and my coaching that I'm in, is I'm feeling very, very called to 5s right now because, like I said, I'm a 5. My husband is a 5, but like I feel very strongly about the fact that like 5s, it's your time to shine. Like if you're feeling called to this information, it's for a reason. It's because you're supposed to step up on your soapbox now and start sharing your message. And then not only that, out of all 64 gene keys, oh, you both have 57.5. Whoa. Okay, so out of all of those gene keys give me a second. A match. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? But out of all 64 of those gene keys, that 57 is the one that is truly about intuition. That is the one that is fully about you using your intuitive wisdom to help you make money in this world. Like you get to be an intuitive guide, and it doesn't matter if you're in marketing and sales. It doesn't matter if you do massage for a living. Like it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's guided and steered thoroughly through your intuition. And one thing that I love to say to people with the 57, because this is like a deep lesson that I've learned over this past year, is the letting go of this idea that your intuition is anything but magical, because it is not something that you are meant to be chained to being an empath for the rest of your life, that you are constantly supposed to pick up on everybody else's stuff and be like a friggin' suitcase rack. You know what I mean? Like you're not supposed to carry everybody else's stuff for you to then interpret your intuition. No, no, no. Your intuition can be a supercomputer. You can decide that you get to set the tone for your life and that you're like, you know what? I don't have to pick up on the cycles of the full moon. I don't have to pick up even on like what's going on with my period. I don't have to pick up on what's happening with my neighbor, what's happening with my husband. Hey, you, Becca. I'm so glad you're here. I was thinking about you today. I saw that video that you liked too, Becca, with that plant lady that was like mopping her floor with that little tiny paintbrush. I was going to send it to you and then I saw that you liked it. But it was one of those things that like whenever you own your intuition, you no longer have to function the way that you used to, where it felt like a burden, where it felt like a heavy thing, where it felt like you had to like wait to respond from somebody else's stuff for you to get your intuitive hits. You are a supercomputer. You are somebody that is just so natural to you that it just flows through your veins and you always know what direction to head in. And especially that you guys both have the 5s with that, your leadership is so ingrained inside of you and it's going to look different. This is the thing about being a 5, like having a 5 in your chart. You're going to feel like the alpha of sorts. And if you've never let yourself express that in your day-to-day life thus far, it's time. Because your message shouldn't sound like anybody else's. Actually, the things that you think should be totally different. And this takes confidence and this takes like building that up, because I know for me, this wasn't like this overnight click. It was a practicing. It was a stretching the uncomfortable pair of jeans that were on me, you know, and it was just like a building of this. And it doesn't mean that you have to be like, hey, F everybody else, like you got to get out of here if you don't believe what I believe. No, it's about just being bold in your opinions. And especially with that 57, like letting that intuition guide what it is that you share and why it is that you share it, right? And so understand Doesn't matter what you do, your intuition will be the steady current underneath it. And you're meant to be up on that soapbox. You're meant to shine. You're meant to be a leader. And the things that you say with that 5, the things that you say will be so spot on for the right people. And it will be so not for the ones who it's not. And you'll get braver with this and you'll get bolder with this, because if you're anything like me, coming from a background of even being like a people pleaser, like that was a scary thing to do, was to like let go of what other people thought of me whenever I decided to start talking about spirituality differently, whenever I decided to start talking about gene keys differently. Scared the living daylights out of me, to be honest with you. But on the other side of it, you feel like a more expressed version of yourself than ever. And so that's why these gene keys are so important, because whether it's literally one word that I say or one word about it that you read, like it can change the trajectory of your life. A client that I worked with last week, she literally, we had 1 hour session together, right? And actually, months before, back whenever I was doing like quick free readings on here just to like get it rolling and get like a bunch of readings, just like telling people what these gene keys were, like she had gotten a reading. She had taken information that I had said. I spoke for 5 minutes, and it made her decide to like start really working on her mindset in a different way. Even though she was a psychic medium, started working on her mindset differently, ended up losing like 25 pounds, completely like relocating her life and doing different things, getting back on like this medication that helped her really focus and be really like disciplined in her business and start calling in clients. So just from that few minutes that I talked to her and I provided that for her, like all of this information that was ready to come through and she was ready to hear so she could take action on, she did. But then last week, we spent 1 hour together, right? We were just chitter-chatting, and probably only half of it was about the gene keys. And she went from having max views of 1,600 on her TikTok videos for a long time to overnight, the videos that she posted, one of them hit 35,000 views. The other one hit 42,000 views. And last I checked, from her one yesterday, she was telling me about, it's at 62,000 views. Like, because she started playing with these gene keys, because she started recognizing what it was that made her different. She's like, Stephanie, she's already like texted me multiple times. She's like, holy crap, like, look at the change. Like, I was plateaued. I was stuck at these numbers for so long. And like, once she learned that information and just ran with it, it doesn't matter if it's one word. It changes everything. For me, it was so simple like that. Whenever I learned that my life's work, and so we were talking about the life's work a minute ago in your branding. This is really like I was saying, the undercurrent of how you show up with your job. So like I use mine very, very literally in the fact that like my archetype is of the 30-second gene key is the success oracle. And so I've always had that psychic medium side to me. So it made a lot of sense. It's like, okay, Stephanie, you point people in the right direction. And I even like own it. I'm like, I'm a success oracle. But my husband, he uses his in a little bit of a different way. So he does IT for a deli meat factory. He runs all of the stuff in all of their buildings. He makes sure everybody has everything they want. But he's the alchemist in his gene keys. But so you'd be like, how is an IT specialist an alchemist? Well, he fixes things. He's able to solve challenges that people have and like turn that situation into gold. But not only that, like his interactions with people, they leave him better off than they were whenever they came to him, right? Because he's very kind about it. You know, a lot of IT people are kind of like snarky and like not always nice how they portray them on TV, but like Alan genuinely like wants to teach people things and be like, hey, you can fix this for yourself next time. Or like even just saying something nice as they're going through this part that like kind of feels like a hiccup in their day, they leave feeling better. And so that's how he infuses that alchemist energy into his work. And like I said, I use mine very like literally, the success oracle. He uses his very figuratively. So you get to use that intuition, that 57 in different ways. You get to use it in whatever way you want and how you want to teach about it. But what I love about these gene keys is that like I was speaking on this the other day about like Nicole, hi. Oh my God, Nicole, I'm so excited for the gene key course that starts in September. I was going to reach out to you. I was like, Wonder how that first round of courses have been going, because there's going to be that. I think I told you this already. There's going to be a workbook that goes with that part too. I've been watching your videos all day. This makes me so happy. So you guys, I haven't even touched on this yet, but my Decode Your Keys course starts September 18th. But you can get instant access to learn how to read these gene keys, because this is a lifelong course that, like, every single time I run it, you get to be included in it. So Nicole jumped in last week, because this is like a crazy pre-sale I'm having. And she jumped in on it last week. And so she gets all of the information that we went over in May. So she's going to be like reared up and ready to go whenever we start in September and jump into even more topics whenever it comes to the gene keys. So yeah, like the people that did the first round are literal soldiers, because I went into the nitty gritty. Like, I just took the gene key chart and like clawed it apart and started teaching about like the ways you can use it in business. And so then this next round, we're going to be going into each individual gene key, kind of like how I do a little synopsis here, but like in each individual gene key. And then not only that, like how to use these gene keys and your human design fused in as like a business map to help guide you in your business, how you show up and attract clients and make money. So make sure you go sign up for that Decode Your Keys course. The link is in my bio. And this is the lowest I'm going to have it from here on out, because truly it's just going to keep growing. It's just going to keep getting bigger. And there's going to be even more hot seat coaching as the rounds progress, because eventually I'm just going to have like fun little things that I teach in it. But then like any kinds of questions that you have or help that you need in your business, I'm there to answer. I love teaching, right? Like I love teaching, but there's something so magical about like having hot seat or having like an hour Voxer session or just coaching somebody that is like so beautiful, because you realize like it's not even just about these gene keys. Like it's about mindset. It's about how we like hold ourselves. It's about like the little moves that we make that make a world of a difference in our business. And I just love the whole thing. I love all of it. So I'm so excited, Nicole. I'm glad that you've been watching and enjoying those videos, because if you've been wanting to learn these gene keys in a fun and quick way, like this is the course for you. So I had people that were in that first round of my Decode Your Keys course that had been in the gene key world for years. And they were like, Stephanie, I like the way that you talk about this. I like the way that you see this differently. And they were very curious to get inside and learn more. And I had people that were brand spanking new. So it doesn't matter where you're at with your business, or even if you're like wanting to infuse this into your business as well, so that you can work with clients, because very, very few people, I'm going to tell you this right now, so few people in this world are using the gene keys with their clients. Like squeaker, like little squeaker, little tiny bit. And whatever you're doing, if you infuse the gene keys with it, you are miles and galaxies different than anybody else. So just understand that people are going to be hungry to learn more about themselves as they work with you. So make sure you go sign up for that. Definitely been thinking about doing that course, Becca. It's a really good one. My pre-sale for that ends the 18th. So what is today? I think that's a week from today. Yeah, my pre-sale for that one ends the 18th. And that one is just really good. Like I said, it's going to keep building upon itself. And it's really like where the first round, I took the gene key chart and I just like tore it to bits and pieces so that you could understand each line, each one of those things that go into one of like the gene keys and how to use it in your business. I'm defining what and how to price the services I want to offer. Do you help with that stuff? Yeah, I can definitely help with that stuff. This is really fun. I like answering business questions too, because not only do I teach the gene keys, I love the strategy, because that is very much what I've been learning this past year. So what kind of things have you been offering up into this point? And also, do you have, I'm curious, this is one of my favorite things to add into anybody's things if they're building a product suite, is if you have something that's a freebie so that you can get people on your email list. So do you have a freebie, and what is it that you're wanting to offer? I'm very curious. I'd love to see how I can help. I just love doing this, you guys. Like, because sometimes the gene keys come into full force play with this, and other times it's just like there's just simple business questions that we have that like it helps to get another set of eyes on. That's why I ended up investing in a business mentor whenever I was like straight out of the gates in my business. And that's something that's like banana pants crazy to most people. But I just knew, I was like, I need somebody to guide me towards the action steps, like teach me how to take the training wheels off of my bike so I can ride and I can go do this. Natal reading, focus on axis and meridians. That's fun. Combo with locational astrology and human design. That sounds really fun. And so one of the things that I've learned whenever I started is it's good to have that freebie. It's good to have a lower tier offer and then a mid-tier offer. And then you can, of course, have like your coaching and stuff like that. So do you have it set up like that currently? Also, I want to offer info to gym baddies that left according to, ooh, that's fun. That's not even something that most people do. Do you see like why you're so different? And like, if you started talking about these different cycles, and then also whenever it comes to like working out and how you best work out, like that's something that people are hungry for out there. Okay, yes, right on. So yeah, I love to think about like, okay, what is something that I can do for free to get people on my email list? Like, and it doesn't have to be like overly crazy. Like if you go to the link in my bio, just if you want to like look at an example, or if you even want to learn more about your gene keys, this goes for everybody. I have a freebie in the link in my bio. And so what that does is that gets people into my world because they obviously want to learn more about gene keys. So if you have something that like, that you're very, very passionate about, that like almost that one offer that goes into that next like middle offer, that's a really good like stepping stone to get people there, right? So they get into your world, they learn about you, you start sending them emails, and then you talk about that next middle offer. You talk about that a lot in your emails. And the more that you talk about it, the more that you're going to get people excited. Yeah. Too much information. Oh, okay. Like I'm also obsessed with manifesting generators. Like I don't know what it is. I have such a crush on manifesting generators lately. I've been working, Becca knows, like I've been working with so many manifesting generators lately that it's been feeling like my soul's calling. So I'm so glad you're here. I am here for the squirrel brains. Oh, I'm so glad you like my freebie. I just like revamped it up. I ended up taking out one of the back pages and replacing it with like imagery of how I usually talk about the gene keys with like the 64 different horses, the 6 jockeys, because I know that like some people do really well with visuals. Okay, yes, of course. If you have more questions too, let me know. But yeah, go look at that freebie or download that freebie. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy with your freebies. I want you to know that, like whether it's a tiny ebook or it's just something that like gives people a bite of information so that they can take it and run with it. So like, for example, my gene key freebie, it's like, hey, like this is how you can start reading your gene keys. This is how you can start understanding what these things mean. And like, so they can just take it and go. Right. And then they're either like, yes, this information is for me. I want to learn more about the other things that you want to do. Or they're like, no, not for me right now. Or they might just sit in your audience and kind of like wait as you build and as you grow and as you get more excited. But like one thing that I do want to say, don't give up on your offers if you're not seeing them take off right away or immediately, because really what it takes is just like fine tuning your messaging around it. And like sometimes that takes 12 emails. Sometimes that takes 2 months. Like let yourself get really good at it. If it's something that you're like, okay, this is solid. This is really what I want to, ooh, thank you. This is solid. This is really what I want to teach. Like let yourself get better at selling it. Like let yourself get better at selling it. Yeah, the freebies pique their curiosity for sure. Oh, thank you for the heart. Oh, what did I do? I moved that little guy. The visual, it works when I do it. Yeah. But yeah, one of the things that like I love teaching people, and like I craved strategy whenever I first started, right? So I ended up with a business mentor that it was like all about action whenever I was coming out of this chapter of my life that was very much all about energy. And so it was a really cool thing to learn, like what the basics were to like really start ramping up your business and showing up daily. And once you do this, I did a post about this today, but once you ingrain that sort of discipline into your system where it's like, it's a non-negotiable that I post every day. It's a non-negotiable that I send out emails every week. It's a non-negotiable that I sell in my stories every single day. Once you start doing that, everything changes. Like it just becomes in your system and becomes part of your rhythm. And you're like, I don't care, rain or shine. Like I'm going to show up for my business. And the more that you show up for your business, I always tell people, I'm like, it's not even about the algorithm. It's not even about the algorithm anymore. If we brush that to the side for a minute, you're getting more clear with every single post that you put out there. You're getting more clear with every single post that you put out there and your messaging and who you're talking to. And also you're getting seen by your audience again and again and again. And they're like, oh, their business isn't just a side hoe. They're really serious about this. And that piques people's interest. And do not be afraid. I'm like just kind of info dumping on you in the best way possible, but like, do not be afraid to repeat yourself. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Do not be afraid to repeat yourself because there are people coming into your world every single day that don't know who you are, that don't know what you do, that don't know your background story and why you're the person to teach it. So feel brave and show up and just keep repeating it. Thank you for the reminder. I've been so put off with making content and all that. It's hard. Oh my gosh, I understand that. It's hard to keep focus. So if you're curious about making content that feels really good for you, I would suggest I have a Keys to Content masterclass. It's $199 and you get an hour Voxer coaching with me. So this is a 2-part masterclass that's pre-recorded. That's all about content. Nicole did it before. She was like, and we got to have a really cool one-to-one together. But it's a really fun masterclass that's all about making content in a fun and easy way that like feels quick, that feels like it's already living and breathing inside your system. Yeah, I'll take a look. I know I'd like to see my day-to-day stuff, I believe. Yeah. One of my very favorite people that I follow is she's called the Content Queen. And she did a post the other day that said like, what if you paid Instagram $50 a day to just be on there and post? Like you would show up the same way that people show up whenever they do like one-to-one coaching. Like you invested in it, you're going to show up in your call, like on your calls, right? Like whenever I was working for 6 months with my one-to-one coach, you bet your bottom dollar, I was going to show up to every single one of those calls. Like, what if you saw Instagram that way? What if you saw like posting on your TikTok that way? Like, this is an investment that you're doing and that like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're just going to show up. And it gets really groovy because the more you do it, and this is kind of what I was touching on earlier, the more you do it, the more content you have. And so you can recycle these ideas. Good day. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. They're blue blockers. So I just like them because I like the way that they look. They make me happy. I like rainbows. But yeah, the more that you show up, then the more content you will have to like repost later on like a rainy day or whenever you're just like, hey, I'm kind of like feeling new things and I'm like creating new posts, but like I'm not quite there yet. Like you get to repost that content from before. So never underestimate the power of like what happens when you just start posting daily, because I had one of those aha moments this week where I was like, holy shit, if I wanted to, like every day for the next month, I could just like actually longer than that. I could just keep reposting the things that I've already created. But you'll get very specific about it and you'll be like, okay, what worked? What didn't? What do I like? What do I not like? What do I still agree with? What do I not agree with anymore? Because the more that you post, the more you'll evolve, the more that you'll change, and you'll start to realize like, I'm not married to that way of being that I used to be. Like, actually, my opinions on this have changed quite a bit. So being an entrepreneur online is like the biggest way to get to know yourself. Like it truly, truly is. Like you get down to the core of who you are. So nice to go back and stuff. You don't agree with an hour you changed your pivot, you could do it. To go back to stuff you don't agree with an hour. Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. You can go back and be like, oh, this is how my opinion has changed about this thing. It took me a second to like have that click in my brain. It's like, yes, you can go back and be like, yeah, this is actually what I've learned from this. Like, I've actually learned this in the last 6 months. There's plenty of things that like my viewpoint has evolved on since I've made certain videos. I keep losing motivation. I need to work on that. You know, I'm trying to like think about what it really was that was the tipping point for me whenever it came to motivation. And I truly believe that for me, it happened whenever, and this is being 110% honest, the motivation really happened whenever I invested in that long-term business coach. It happened because it wasn't even about the magic of the investment. Like, just so you know, like, you are the magic of an investment. Like, it has nothing to do with like, oh, I said yes, and so the universe is going to give me everything I want. It's like, no, no, no. What I have learned from that was that it held me accountable to build up my stamina and to also like have somebody in my corner while I did that. And I didn't have excuses anymore. And like, sure, there's probably plenty of people that hire business coaches that don't do their due diligence and don't show up daily. But for me, I was like, I'm so fucking hungry to make this happen. Even if I can't define what this is just yet, there's something pulling me, and I'm going to really take this leap of faith and I'm going to do this thing. I felt a calling most of the year that I was going to like invest in somebody, even though I was like, I'm not sure how this is all going to add up and I'm not sure how this is all going to like come into fruition. But by me doing that, it helped me to gain this momentum. And I was in the presence of somebody that had been doing it for a while that also helped me too. And I got to watch her. I got to have conversations with her. Like, it didn't matter if it was like, hey, how do I put a link in here? Or if it was like, hey, like, I need to shift this about my mindset. I had somebody in my corner that helped me to keep me motivated. And so there are going to be times, like, there are some people out there that say you need to be in mentorship for life. Like, I am just not one of those people, but I very much believe, at least where I'm at right now, I very much believe in like those bursts of like having that staying power with somebody and like learning as much as you can and holding, like, it's about you. It's not about that coach. It's about holding yourself accountable, and you just become a different person on the other side of that. And it's really cool because then you change the way that you show up in your business. Okay, let me go back up because I saw some messages come through. La, la, la. So yeah, if I'm looking back and being honest with myself, Nicole, like, I had a really hard time like getting the motivation at first because I felt like I couldn't see that clear picture. Kind of like I say about the ice sculpture a lot, like where it just felt like it was a cube of ice. My business was this cube of ice, and like it was just the daily, like, because I had invested and because I decided to go all in, I was just chipping away until it started to become a shape, and then that shape started taking over and being my drive. And it didn't happen like immediately overnight. But the more I kept playing with my gene keys and the more I just like decided that I was married to my business, it wasn't my side girlfriend anymore. I was married to it. The more excited I got. And the more you uncover pieces of you and the more you have things to talk about in your content. Badass. Yes, I have not seen much of that. Yeah. That's true. Having them would give me something to keep responding to. Yeah, Nicole. And I am the kind of person that, by the way, this goes for everybody. I have 3 months of business coaching right now for $5,000. And this is all about infusing the gene keys, human design, but also having somebody to help hold you accountable, to help keep you motivated. But you're going to do the work. And like in the longest run of things, I wish somebody would have told me that before I invested, because there's so much la-di-da really fuzz around mentorship whenever you like first start showing up in your business, right? And it made me realize like, yes, I loved working with my coach, and like she gave me so much inspiration, so much insight that I wouldn't have had without her, but it was who I became. And like who you become when you work with somebody, whenever you hold yourself accountable, is, I would not ever trade it for anything. It was a beautiful time. And then you'll go through your phases. You'll be like, I really want to work with somebody. And then you'll be like, okay, now I'm like in my zone. I'm in my place. And then you'll be like, I really want to work with some. I'm very much like that, where I've been in this like long-term course over the summer since my mentorship ended. And I'm feeling that pull again for something different, whether it is one-on-one or not, or just like a mastermind or something. Like I'm feeling it cooking inside my system. So it does something for you. All of it does. And it is what you make of it. It is what you make of it. But if I'm being honest, the motivation came whenever I made that move. My personal experience, other people might have other experiences. So, but yeah, I have that 3 months for $5,000, and you can apply on, actually, if you DM me, I'll send you the application. But yeah, I love being a little intuitive, creative partner with you whenever it comes to your business. That's what I'm visualizing. No, I agree with you. Oh, totally. Yeah. And so it's one of those things, and Nicole, in our Gene Key group, there'll be a little bit of hot seat coaching and stuff in there too. And like I said, as we continue, but this goes for anybody. I'm on pause for TikTok. I'll catch you on Instagram. Yeah. Just DM me over on Instagram. And I can send you through that application or the links for any of these things I've been talking about today. But yeah, I just love coaching people. Like I've realized that I love coaching people through the entrepreneur path, because it's not just like one straight line. It's just like all of these things that we navigate through. And sometimes you just need an extra set of eyes to be like, oh, duh. Like, of course, I just needed that, or I just needed to hear that one thing. It's like those light switch moments where it's like so much more space in your brain opens up and it becomes crystal clear. Yeah. You have great, truthful energy. I can appreciate this. I am so glad that you think that. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the fact that like, there's no one way to do business. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is like part of my gene keys too. So this is probably why I talk about mentorship and coaching this way, is because my Mercury placement, if you're looking at my human design chart, my little Mercuries, one of them is the 7. And it's actually a 7.3. So they refer to it as like the anarchist. So I'm like coming from a background of being a people pleaser, I'm like, anarchy, like the little boys in Talladega Nights, anarchy. But it's one of those things that like the 7s are these like alpha leaders, but like you have to be able to like know how to lead yourself and know how to navigate yourself too. So like there's going to be times in your life where you're like, hey, I want to learn something, and you let yourself be a little guided, right? You let yourself be like pointed in the right direction. But there's going to be other times where you got to go out on your own path and explore the wilderness and stretch your legs and see what it is that you need. Like I have a bit of a hard time in the coaching industry when people are like, it's about staying power and it's about being with your mentor all the time. And it's like, if that works for you, that's beautiful. Like everybody's so different. If that's something that you love, then cool. But that's not how it works for everybody. And I feel like we do sometimes, like at least personally in my experience, we do sometimes need our time with ourselves to uncover what it is that we want. And then there's other times that we want that guidance, and none of it's wrong. You get to be successful no matter what you do, but it's just choosing and not turning down a coaching opportunity or a mentoring opportunity if you're like, oh, I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. Because that's how I was. I was like clearly ignoring it. And finally, I had one of those days where it was last October. I threw my arms up in the air. I used to pace around my backyard. Like, before I really knew how to take action in my business, this sounds like a crazy thing, but like I used to walk in circles around my backyard. I have a beautiful backyard, so it was like a good place to do it. But my little generator energy, I'd just be like walking in circles, like having download after download, but like not knowing how to take action with it and not knowing what it meant, not understanding business enough and like showing up online and like the moves that I needed to make. And I just threw up my hands in the air and I was like, okay, God, I'm ready to do the scary thing. I'm ready to make an investment, and I don't know how exactly I'm going to make this happen, but I'm going to do it. And I was like, show me who it is. Because I had a lot of people I had looked at and I kind of like rolled out. I was like, I'm not feeling them. And then I came across my mentor. Her name's Bridget Jamesling, like 2 days later. And her and I are very different in some ways. We're both weird, but like we're very different in some ways. But like she had the exact medicine that I needed at that moment to help me, just like a little mushroom, like Mario eating a mushroom. I just like, bloop, bloop, bloop. Like learning from her was exactly what I needed to get myself here now. Right. And so it changed me. Like making a bold, brave move, it inspired me to make like 80 other bold, brave moves in this past year. And on the other side of it, it's like I'm still living, I'm breathing, and I'm doing better than I ever have before. But yeah, I'm very, very big on you knowing how to lead yourself. Like you're not like, you don't go to coaching for somebody to coddle you. You don't go to coaching for somebody to do the work for you, unless you're like paying somebody to do certain things for you. But like you, like at the end of the day, it's all about you. And it's about getting support, being the best version of you. That's what it is. And it doesn't matter what time you have your alarm set. It doesn't matter how many times a week you work out. It doesn't matter, how many times you travel the world. Like you get to be successful just because you decide it. And you're going to figure it out. And you're going to have your things that you experiment with and they work. And you're going to have your other things that you experiment with and they don't work. And that's all okay, because this isn't just like a one and done, like, oh, I had my best year ever in business my first year. It doesn't have to just be about that. Like this is your life's work. And the more you show up for it daily, the more gets uncovered, the braver moves that you'll take, and you'll get there. It's inevitable. You'll get there. Thank you. Let me see. No, I have learned not to push it. The universe always comes through. Yeah. 3-5 sacral Manny Jen single definition. Okay. You had me at 5. You're 5. You had me at your manifesting generator. I was just having this conversation. Been talking to a lot of 5s, been talking to a lot of manifesting generators. Like this is like if we're talking about things that excite me on a soul level, it is line 5s and manifesting generators. Not that I don't love everybody else either, because I feel very passionately about 2s as well. Oh, you're a 2-5? I'm a 5-2. I'll come back to you in a second, because we're just like the same coin but opposite sides. 5-2 and 2-5s. We're rare little people. But you're little 3-5, Leah. Oh my gosh. This means with that 3, you have so much of this energy to like go out there and try all of these things and see how they work. And then you literally, it's almost like this news reporter. Then you get to like stand up on your soapbox and report back your findings to the rest of us. And like those findings from all these little different things that you've navigated through, like that is gold for your clients. That is gold for the people who want to work with you. So understand, like that little busybody energy where it's like, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail. It's not a bad thing. Like you get to come back and report your findings to the rest of us. And we're like, thank God for you, Leah. Like we do not know what we would do without you, Leah. And you get to do it. Like I love whenever people have the 3s, because like you get to have an insane, awesome sense of humor with how you show up. Like if that's fun for you, like pull into like pleasure and humor in the way that you create your content. And honestly, the 3s make the rest of us feel so damn seen, so heard, so like you're so relatable to the rest of us, because we're like, thank God you're a human being. Like, thank God the rest of us can be human beings too. Like, so whenever you're a 3, you really do get to be that person that it's like, yeah, especially as a 3-5, like you have that leadership, like holding your shoulders back and being able to speak about what you learned, but you also have that fun, flirty, frilly side to you, adventurous side to you, diverse side to you from all these different experiences that you've gathered up that you get to share with the rest of us and teach us in a fun way. So I love that. And then 2-5, I'm a generator too. I'm such a stinker because for a while, and my friend Brandy Yates would probably laugh at me and Tangi too. But for a while, whenever I first came across human design, I fully resonated as a projector. And then I realized I was like, okay, well, I'm a generator. Like, how do we like live into that? And then it's so funny because almost like this summer, I've really leaned into this like manifesting generator energy. And I'm one channel away from being a manifesting generator, like one little gate away. And so whenever I plug into, it's the 5. Whenever I plug into that, I feel that like manifesting generator. I was raised by manifesting generators. My business coach is a manifesting generator. A lot of my clients are manifesting generators. So I understand that energy on a very deep level. But just as a generator, it's just like this joy. It's just like this, especially you as a sacral, it's just like this heck yes. Like, what is it that we want? And so like, for an example, whenever I started playing with that generator side of me, Ryan, like, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Ryan. I had a friend growing up. His name was Ryan. It was Ryne. And I called him Ryan for years because I had never seen his name spelled out. I'm sure I wasn't the only person, but I look at it now, I'm like, I love that name. But I look back at the time where like being a sacral generator really benefited me in business because I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I wanted to sell my lavender company. I was a lavender farmer. I made all natural products, and like it had been a long time. And especially this time last year, I just knew it wasn't lighting me up anymore. Like every time I'd ask myself, like, do I want to keep doing this? Anytime I would go to like get out product to make these all natural sprays and body butters, I would just be like, no, I don't want to do it. Like this sucks. And like, even though everything in your brain is telling you, Stephanie, you should be thankful for having this job that's like totally cool and totally different. You started a business from scratch. But I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So like use that yes and no to your highest ability, because it's not going to lie to you. It might be scary as shit. Like, excuse my French. Like it might be super effing scary, the thing that it's pulling you to, but it ain't going to steer you wrong. Even on the days where it's like, have I been steered wrong? It's like, no. Trust it. Trust that pull. But I love the year 2-5 because I don't come across 2-5s very often, and I don't come across 5-2s often. We're a weird little bunch because the 2 inside of you, and this even goes for like 6-2s as well, like in 2-4s, like understand, I'm talking to 2s right now. You are freaking brilliant. This took me a long time to accept. You are brilliant. And there's not a way to explain your magic. There's not. And that can be scary sometimes. Because like I have so many people in my life that are 1s, and the 1s are solid. They have information that's based in fact, in logic, in books, in things that make sense. And they help people feel really secure with that. But as a 2, you don't care as much to get all of that information, and it's okay. I have lived and breathed this because my husband's a 5-1 and I'm a 5-2, and I see how drastically different we do things. He'll often ask me, how's life flying by the seat of your pants? Even though like I'm so organized and scheduled now compared to what I used to be, but like there'll be certain things. He's like, how's life flying by the seat of your pants? I'm like, it's great over here. Like I've got you too. You compliment me pretty well. But whenever you have that 2 energy, you're passionate. You're aesthetically pleasing. Like I'm pretty sure that like these glasses and like these little buns are probably sprinkled in part of my 2 as well, because it feels aesthetic to me, right? It feels like, oh, that's a piece of my soul put out there. And so whenever you have this 2, especially if you have a 2 in front, if you're a 2-4 or a 2-5, like your stuff is like, it's like living, breathing art. It gets to be that. And you don't have to explain where it comes from. Let the magic flow through you. And the more that you own what it is that you're good at and you speak about it, So for a while on my profile, I had even put like, because I'm a 5 too, so I lead more with the 5, but I still have that 2 inside of me. I was experimenting and playing around with like titles and stuff, because the 2s, it's just like own who you are. So for a while I was like, hey, I'm your rebrand genie. Like I help you rebrand with these gene keys. Like I help you revamp your business with these gene keys. So like own what it is that you're naturally good at and just be unapologetic about it. Be unapologetic about it. I know that that can be hard sometimes because you have a tendency to want to pull back, especially being a 2-5. They call that the reluctant hero, where mine is a 5-2 and it's called the self-motivated hero. So like nobody is motivating me except me. But for you, it's like everybody else actually sees how wonderful you are. And they're like, hey, Ryan, come out here and play. We want to see you do your thing. And you're like, oh God. Like the 2-5s that I've met, they really are like celebrated by the people in their lives and the people, like even strangers. And so you're going to be somebody, I don't know if you're already currently making videos or posting online, but like people are going to see you and they're going to see answers in you. And so as a 2-5, a lot of people will talk constantly about projections when it comes to the line 2, projections when it comes to the line 5. I don't know if I just heard it so many times, but I get bored with that explanation. And honestly, I feel it to be kind of detrimental to your mindset. If you're constantly worried about what people are going to think about you, and that's all you're focused on, like so many people will be like, 5s are getting burned at the stake. So you have to be really, really clear. It's like, get that shit out of your brain. Like stop focusing on that, because there's so many plus sides to being a 5. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't like to focus on all of the stuff that could go wrong. That's just not how my brain works anymore. I've had to train my brain very, very, like it's taken training of my brain to not focus on those things, to not think in worst case scenario anymore. But now it has me like fully focused on success. So instead of like being so worried about what other people see in you and what other people are projecting about you, how about you just get like real groovy with what it is that you want to, like what your magic is that you want to share. Own it unapologetically, be able to get up on the soapbox, and then you can go back and like have your own alone time to develop these gifts. But understand you have magic. You have magic and you can't explain the magic. And that's okay. You know, it was hard for me being a 5-2 and teaching on these gene keys because so much of me wanted to just teach it by the book and like almost be like, I don't want to get anything wrong and I'll just regurgitate the information so that it's perfect. But like that literally drained my soul. And even thinking about like posting on Instagram, I was like, I could sit here and post every single one of these gene keys and explain it in chart form and have it all spelled out. And I did it a few times and I played around with it. I was like, but I hate this. Like, that's not fun for me, is to teach it that way. I want to just talk about it in a different way. I want to make freaking memes with Furbies on it that talk about the gene keys and Kermit the Frog. Like, don't over explain your magic. Just do your thing. And the right people will find you. Yes. So, ooh, I'm glad you're here. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Yeah. So yeah, 6-2. I was just speaking on the 2. So got a little bit of that there. You know, to get out of the hermit mode, honestly, it just came to like being excited about what it was that I wanted to talk about. Like it just came from me also. And this is like from a 5 point of view. I cover this in the Keys to Content courses. Like whenever you show up with your energy correctly, you have so much more energy to then like come to life whenever you need to. And so for me, because I finally listened to the 5 and I started showing up like the 5, my 2 side didn't need as much two-siding. If you know what I'm saying, like my two-side didn't need as much downtime anymore. And it just like was kind of naturally always doing its thing, and it happened really quickly. So that's something that like oftentimes people are constantly like, and I even make jokes about it too, about like the twos being in hermit mode, but like that's not all you are. Like, that's not all you are. There's like so many gifts that want to come through you. So sometimes you got to pull yourself out of that shell and just be like, this is worth it. This is so worth it. Discovering like this side of me that's different, this talent that I have. I'm so glad that I didn't keep myself under the blankets, under the covers, because there's plenty of times. I'm gonna tell you what, if I would have let the little side of me that said, Stephanie, go keep reading A Court of Mist and Fury, because I'm on the second I'm on the second A Court of Thorns and Roses book right now. If I would have like let that side of me win for today, even though like I knew I wanted to get on TikTok live, I wanted to get on YouTube live, I wanted to teach a lesson, I wanted to build community, like that was part of my goal today. But like everything inside of me was like, well, we could not put on our makeup and we could just sit here and read this book and it would be a good day. And I was like, no, like we're not going to do that, because we feel so much better whenever we play in the realm of the thing that lights our soul on fire. And this goes for everybody. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting here talking about a line one, doesn't matter if I'm sitting here talking about a line two. If you're listening to this and there's something inside of you when I say words that rings true, that means it's for you. You're not limited by any of this information, just so you know. We use this as fuel for your fire, as inspiration for your business, rather than something to keep you in a cage, because your little soul is a stallion. And you get to decide what it is works and what doesn't work for you. But these gene keys, these profile lines, they point you in the right direction, and then you get to play from there. Okay? Yes. Cliff notes. I'm like trying to catch up with my with my comments from before. And I'm like, yes, she's great. Oh, and Brooke is a 2-4 Manny Jen. Hello, Manny Jen. Oh God, yeah, those twos, kind of like what I was just talking about earlier. It's funny being a 2-4. I feel like for people, because other people see you as such like a little social bug, and you see yourself as this little like cuddled up cocoon creature sometimes. But honestly, I love my hairdresser is a 2-4, and she is like the prime example of this. Every time I go see her, she's like, no, I don't like people, Stephanie. But like she sits there and does people's hair all day long and like has so many buddies, and that's her thing. And I'm like, Natalie, like, come on. She's so funny. Oh, I grew up in 5 different countries. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, Leah, you said you were a 3-5, and growing up in those 5 different countries, holy crap. That is like the diversity that your soul was craving. You know what I mean? Like you get to use all of the fuel from that fire. Hey, generator. Oh, Rin. Ooh, I like that. It's actually my position. I thought, yes, herbs, medicine, feeling so much. You're weird as fuck. Sorry, I'm nerding out right now over the comments. But yeah, if you've been wanting to learn these gene keys, by the way, in case you just hopped on, I have my Decode Your Keys course on pre-sale right now. So you can learn to read these gene keys for yourself and for your clients in a really fun way. Get hot seat coaching inside of that. You get access to the round before and all of the rounds that come after. So it's like a little lifelong experience. Every time I run this course, you'll be a part of it. And so right now it's $3.99 and the pre-sale ends next Friday. So make sure you get in on there. If your brand's spanking new and you want to learn like the details about the gene keys, you can go download my freebie in the link in my bio. And I have some other offerings in my bio as well. And I offer coaching too. Let me see. Coaching time. So I need to visualize. I'm a squirrel at times. I love magical squirrel brains though. Like little manifesting generator and generator brains like make sense to me because it's a language that I speak. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do we take all of this energy and all of this inspiration and channel it through one lens to make us very, very successful? You know what I mean? So I love I love the squirrel brain. Like for years and years, I took ADD medicine and I don't really know what it did for me more than like let me stay up late and drink more back in those days. But like truly, I don't take any medication now and I'm just like this is just like a genius that pours through you. Whenever you have a brain that works like that, like you're able to harness it. I promise you. If I am somebody that can do that and like have schedules that I set for my day and like have like things that I know I'm going to accomplish and I'm going to do it, like you can do it too. I always used to say, like, nobody would ever guess this, but I used to be a smoker. I smoked for 10 years, like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And people would be like, Sarah, your teeth are so white. How did you do that? But I'm telling you right now, I used to think smoking cigarettes was so cool. And I used to feel like very artistic and like kind of a bad girl, right? And I would tell people after I quit, I'd be like, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. Like it's the same way with getting organized and like using your squirrel brain to your benefit. I promise you. I used to chase butterflies. And if I can do it and get organized and have like launches planned out and have like every day I show up and make content, I promise you can do it too. So you are not crazy. I promise you can do it. Oof. That just validated so much uncertainty. Oh, I'm so glad, Rin. I still have like 14 messages to go down here. I'm probably answering things from like way before, but that's okay. We're just gonna, everything works out right. Da-da-da-da. Na-na-na. Okay. Definitely needed to hear this. I've been feeling so incredibly lost. Ashley, you are here at the right perfect time then, because I truly believe that whenever people come across this information, it's because you're on the precipice of your next greatest move. That's how it was for me. And where I really stopped playing small and I started letting my light shine so brightly, even when it scared me, even when it made me very, very uncomfortable with investing or being brave or whatever it was, like showing up online. This is the juice. This is the good stuff. Because I just really feel like the gene keys and this information that I like to teach is just a stepping stone to get you there even faster. So you don't have to keep twirling your thumbs. It's just like, here's some information to get your engine revved up. And now you can go. You can start moving. You can start taking action. I love your reference of a 4 being a big squishy heart. Raven, I love your name first and foremost. I love ravens. And I've always had this like, I want to have a permanent, like, I like to move around every few years, but like, I want to have a raven friend. Does anybody else feel like that? Where you're just like, I want to bring it shiny gifts. I want to bring it food. I want to have a really cool name for it, like Malachi or something like that. I think that's more like Children of the Corn. But like, I have a really cool name for it. So I am obsessed with ravens. Like, I'm a Ravenclaw. I am a Ravenclaw, though, who has been in her Slytherin era lately. I love your support. Yeah, big squishy heart. All my messages as a reader is love focused. I love that. And like you get to do that and you get to own that. And like people come to you because you feel like an effing hug to their soul. Like that's what you are whenever you're a 4. Not only are you like a hug to their soul, but like you're so influential to them. Like you really, really are, because you're willing to share your emotions. You're willing to like share that side of you that like almost most people in this world will like keep that kind of tucked away, but like you just have this openness to you that makes people feel comfortable. So I love 4s. Big squishy heart. My mom is a 4/6. And so a lot of business owners, I feel like it's so funny. I'll like just be like scrolling Instagram sometimes. And if I see certain people that I've seen before, I can just feel it about them. Like there's this one business coach. I'm like, I don't even know what your human design is, but I know you have a 4. Like you can feel it. It's funny. Yep. Introvert and extrovert at the same time. I say that, but I really don't like being misunderstood. You know, I feel like the more that we explore ourselves as business owners, the more people start to understand us. You know what I'm saying? Like the right people start to understand us and we understand ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't really understand myself whenever I started my entrepreneurial journey, especially whenever I started doing the lavender stuff. I was so scared. I was like being the boss of a company and making things from scratch, but I didn't see myself as a boss. I was like still thinking that I was playing, like I was still looking to other people to make decisions for me. Right. And so like in this last year since I sold that other company and I went full pull in my online business, like I didn't really understand myself at first. And that was okay because the more that I did it and the more that I showed up, the more that I understood myself. And the more people now come to me and they're like, that's the Gene Key person. That's the person that brings fun. That's like the girl that's like, hey, let's have your business be fun and weird and have a good time, but disciplined at the same, like that's like my values. That's who I am. But I had to like carve that out over time. And even, I don't know if Becca's still on here, but she's so funny. She was in my Keys to Confidence course and like literally a gem in my life. I love her. But she was like, I love your vocab, like your verbiage, the way that you talk. And it didn't just happen overnight. Like I started like playing around with different sayings that just kept from like me showing up almost every single day on lives in this last year that like this verbiage built, you know what I mean? And why it sounds different. And it's just your business isn't just what's going to happen this weekend. It's your life's work. And it will grow and it will evolve and it will change and you will rebrand yourself and you will become a different version of you. And that's okay because like the world needs you to hit all of these points so that you can keep growing. Like you're meant to have all this different collection of knowledge for a reason. And the right people will understand you. Oh, you're a 4-6 generator, Raven. Nah. Yeah, I love the 4-6s. They call it the regal authority. And it's so true because like every single 4-6 that I come across, you guys just like hold yourselves differently. My mom's name is Diana. And so they'd always call her Princess Di. And so she's a 4-6. And like she just always like had this like no matter where she went, she was just kind of like the life of the party. She was just the one that like everybody just loved. And all of the other 4-6s that like Pearl Cece, she was one of the speakers at my online business retreat this summer. She's a 4-6 and she looks like a gorgeous supermodel, but she's just one of those people. We went to in-person business retreat in Vancouver together. And she was just that person that like everybody was just drawn to. She was just like the queen of the night, right? Like you have that as a 4-6. I was thinking about adding Gene Keys to my business by going over the pearl sequence with people. Nicole, that is brilliant because people need that pearl sequence like it's nobody's business. That's why whenever I first started going live on here, I started just like giving people their pearl sequences because I'm like, let's get straight to the nitty gritty of what's going to help you in business. And like a lot of the traditional way of talking about Gene Keys is like, you have to do that last. And I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Like, no, let's dive into the things that are really going to help you, right? Like, why not dive into those things that are going to help you? You can learn all the other pieces as you go. But whenever you know what your natural talents, gifts, abilities are, it just helps you rev up your creativity engine and start going for that thing. I think that is a brilliant idea. Nicole, I've been thinking about you a lot with like how you can infuse that into your work because like there's not anybody out there doing like the virtual assistant stuff, like adding that in and adding their own flair and flavor to things. So definitely do that. Yeah. The more you play with the Gene Keys too, it'll probably open up a whole different side of your business and how you teach as well. Just because I feel like once we start incorporating different things, we just realize we're really gifted and really talented or really like drawing these certain types of people in. You're like, holy shit, there's my specialty before you even know it, you know? So like, I didn't expect to be like attracting all of these people with line 5s and all of these manifesting generators, but like here we are. And I'm like, I'm obsessed. Like, I love this, but like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I just kept showing up and that's what ended up happening, you know? I have only one channel. Blah, blah, blah. one channel defined it's a 6124. And someone told me it's a channel of the medium. Ooh, I love that. That's a really cool combination of two different gates, two different gene keys, because that 61 is all about being like this mystic. I often say it's like, you know how they say, don't mind my squeaky chair, by the way. I need a new chair, but this guy's been my friend for a while. But how they always say, like, people that are like romantical, they're like, you see the world with rose-colored glasses. I always think about the 61, the 61st gene key is like seeing the world through these like indigo glasses, because like everything's kind of like psychedelic in a sense to you. Like everything's kind of mystical. There's like you're searching for those bigger answers behind the bigger questions. And then that 24, I always think about like inventors whenever I think about the 24, because you're able to like literally pull things out of thin air that haven't been done before. Like you're able to actually like put your blood, sweat, and tears into something and bring something new into this world. And so it's like combining that mystic with the reality of these really cool ideas, these things that you want to set in motion. That's a beautiful channel. And I truly believe at the end of the day, we all have psychic medium gifts. Like, that's just like one of those things. I just want you to know, if you are hanging out here, like I have no doubt in my mind that you are intuitive. Like, that's not even a question in my reality anymore, because I just know everyone is psychic. Everyone is psychic, and you can direct that energy in whatever way you want to. That doesn't mean you just have to talk to dead people. It doesn't mean you just have to do like tarot readings or things like that. You can channel it into kind of like what Nicole was saying earlier, like she does virtual assistant stuff. You can channel it into like branding and sales and marketing. Like you get to channel your intuition, your psychic medium gifts into whatever it is that you want. There isn't just like this defined way of being psychic anymore. I don't know about you guys, but like whenever I was younger and I was like developing my gifts back in the day, I used to think that the epitome of being psychic was being a tarot reader at like one of those psychic events that would happen at like your community center once a year. Like, okay. So like I used to go to those and I would be like, this is the epitome of being psychic, like these people here. And then I did it like back whenever I was doing my tarot readings, I was like, oh shit, like I can go build a multi-million-dollar business actually. And it's not just like, I don't just have to do psychic readings. Like I can use my intuition in different ways. So just so you know, your intuition gets to be fused with the thing that you're passionate about. Oh, another 4-6, Sherry, splenic projector. We do love projectors. One of my favorite projectors I always talk about. Well, Tangie's the feel-good expert on TikTok. She's a projector as well as Brandy. I'm pretty sure Tangie is. Yeah. I think. I can't remember. Brandy is for sure. So Brandy Yates, I call her the president of projectors. She makes so much content for projectors. I always point projectors in her direction because she does it in such a beautiful way of like, she really doesn't wait around for the invitation in the normal sense of saying things. Like she actually shows up and puts herself out there, and it's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of projectors underestimate their power, and she's just like a living, breathing example. So Brandy Yates, you want to go follow her if you haven't already. Sometimes people find me through Brandy. Also recognizing my own secret victim mode stance in the comment. Getting in my way. Yeah. I have found the most helpful thing for myself personally is through that mindset work of not ever seeing myself as like without, not ever seeing myself as like less than other people, because I used to be the queen of putting people on a pedestal. Like, let me know if you relate with that. I used to put everybody on a pedestal. Like if somebody would get on and do these lives, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like you've got something that I don't. It's like, that's not true at all. Like, it's just that those people are like willing to be brave and put themselves out there. You know what I'm saying? And like, the more that we realize like nobody is different than us. Like we have, and in fact, like something changes whenever you start to see yourself. This is a mindset hack of mine that I used last year. Not only seeing myself as like, of course I can do what that other person is doing. Of course I can have what that other person has. Like, of course I'm already there. It's already done. But also seeing yourself as the person that's like the effing winner and you have a leg up on everybody else in the universe. That's when shit gets crazy in the best way because like you start to have this mindset of like it does not matter what anything looks like, I am winning, I am the winner, this is right. So just throwing that out there. Uh, I love whenever TikTok is like, good job, you've gone live for 90 minutes, don't forget to take a break, thank you. Oh, another 4-6. Yeah, we're just talking about 4-6, Denisha. Sacral authority. Oh, wow, this is different. Yeah, we talk about things a little bit different here. I'm kind of a stinker whenever it comes to rules. Like and this is like my line 5 speaking. So if you're a line 5, you understand this. I'm a stinker when it comes to rules because at the end of the day, all of this stuff is channeled out information that we are supposed to use for inspiration, not to keep ourselves caged in. And you or I or your friend Craig could channel out information like this if we so chose, like if we so felt compelled to do it, if that felt like something that wanted to move through us. So at no time are you any different than the people that have channeled this stuff out. Understand that. Like that actually gives you back so much of your power. If you're anything like me, where back in the day I used to think, oh, these people are like some type of saints that know how to do all this stuff. It's like, no, you are just as amazing. So use this as inspiration, as fuel for your fire, rather than something that keeps you chained down or in just one way of being. So I'm big about teaching it in the way that it's like, no rules. Like, let's go crazy. And that doesn't mean, hey, easy breezy genius. That doesn't mean that like I don't have structure and I don't have discipline with this, but it just means that like there's so much more than just black and white, right? There's so many other colors than just black and white when it comes to understanding this information and using this information. Ooh, Rebecca Davila. Thank you for dropping that. She does a lot of projector content too. Gonna leave in about an hour. Oh, that's my husband. Ba, ba, ba. Ooh, okay. All right. So non-defined. This can be. Can this ever be defined? So, non-defined. Which one's non-defined? Can this ever be defined? I literally take like my open centers, and I'm about to wrap up here in just a minute because I have to go run an errand with my husband. But it's one of those things that like just learn what you need to learn from your defined and undefined centers, but don't make it be like your whole personality. Because I'm going to tell you what, Freddie Mercury did not have a defined throat, and he sang his heart out for his life and wrote songs and used his throat in a different way. Oprah does not have a defined ego, and she's effing Oprah. So a lot of people are like, oh, only the people with defined egos can have like a lot of stuff or like be willing and do all no. Your defined centers do not make or break you. You know what I mean? Take this information as inspiration to learn yourself better, to understand yourself, and then grow from there. Because if you're going to find out that you're a Leo and then you just have like all the qualities of like the worst qualities of a Leo, you're like, well, I'm not going to change because I'm a Leo. It's like, no. You don't need to do that. You grow from what you learn. So you grow from what you learn. But I am going to hop off for now. I will be back on this weekend. I am so glad every single one of you were able to join today and hang out with me because this has been really fun. Such incredible questions coming through. I love to answer these kind of questions. So make sure you follow me over here. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I have my Decode Your Keys course that is starting. Hey, Robin. I have my Decode Your Keys course that is the pre-sale ends next Friday. And whenever you sign up now, you get instant access to learn to decode these keys, to learn to read these gene keys in a fun and potent way. And then we start our live classes mid-September. But if you want to get in on that pre-sale, make sure you go to the link in my bio. Also, I have my 3 months of one-to-one business coaching for $5,000 right now. You can apply if you DM me on Instagram, if you DM me over here. I'll send you the application because I love bringing the gene keys, human design, mindset work, like all of these things into your business to help you stay motivated, to help you really like know what it is that you need to do to like get that engine revved and start attracting clients and making money in your business in a way that feels fun and expansive to you. Hey, me too. Thank you for the connection. Yay. I'm so glad. Yeah. And make sure you download that freebie if you are brand spanking new to these gene keys as well. All the links are in my bio, but if you're curious about that 3 months of coaching, just reach out to me on Instagram or over here. But thank you for being here. I get to go run an errand, maybe go get like iced coffee or something and a snack. So I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining me over here. And I hope that you have the most beautiful day. I will be back on probably sometime this weekend and I'll talk to you later. Oh, the link is in my bio over here too. So go check it out. Have a great day. Ooh, here we go.